Meet Harold Halibut. Dating profile 00247. Harold works as a janitor and helper in the science district, and frankly anywhere someone is emboldened to boss him around. His skills include gracefully cleaning graffiti, successfully identifying red minerals, and shuffling about the station with the pace and gait of a haunted ventriloquist doll. Harold enjoys long walks between tube stations, drawing, and staring vacantly while life moves past him. Harold may not be particularly bright, but his optimism that he could be of use at any given moment despite his many shortcomings is nothing short of an inspiration. Keep sleeping with your tool belt on, Harold. You never know when duty will call. He's not handsome, handy, or held in high esteem by his colleagues. But if you tell Harold to run across the station to talk to somebody so you don't have to, then by God, he'll do it. Consider matching with Harold today. As we always say, there's plenty of fish in the sea, as long as you're talking about the literal sea that this space station has crashed into. Welcome to Random Game Reviews. Starting in 2024, I'll be reviewing one new release game every month as selected from a spreadsheet by a random number generator. To aid me on this journey, I've enlisted the help of my best friend and frequent collaborator, Phil Metal Jacket.
This month we were tasked with pulling apart Harold Halibut, a video game that you may have noticed is made entirely of clay.
Harold Halibut takes place on the Fedora, a Cold War space ark designed to flee impending nuclear annihilation and find a home among the stars, only to end up crashed into the ocean on a strange alien planet. And while this premise is fantastical, the most grounding idea in the game is that in the 200 years since departing Earth, the residents can't seem to shake free of the iron grip of capitalism, with a privatized public transit company acting as the central government on the station, and this guy running a multi-generational winter sporting goods company. The Fedora is home to a cast of oddball characters that make you wonder just how much inbreeding has taken place on this station. There's Chris, the muscle-bound teacher who gives lessons in his iconic silk kimono, the ship's police officer whose guilt about keeping an unsanctioned fish as a pet causes him to project wrongdoing upon the Fedora citizenry, and Warren Wiener, who really wants to give you his water wieners. Harold Halibut, who spends much of the game being almost unforgivably dumb and passive, fills his day with menial wage labor, haplessly assisting people who are undoubtedly smarter than him, until he is charged to draw upon his inherent Haroldness to rehabilitate a fish alien that gets stuck in the filtration system he manages. This chance meeting sets Harold and the rest of the Fedora on a journey that will decide the fate of the entire station. But how does this manifest as gameplay? Harold Halibut is primarily a story-driven game, and your main function as the player is to navigate Harold through a tube system that is not unlike toilet plumbing, to lumber from one quirky cute interaction to another. The player, much like Harold, spends much of the game as a passenger in the story unfolding around you. But don't think about that. Think about how this game is made of clay and looks super cool.
Billed as a handmade adventure game, the world and characters of Harold Halibut are composed of models and sets first rendered physically as clay puppets, or artfully constructed and decorated props and set pieces, which are then digitized using a high-resolution 3D photogrammetry scanning technique and then brought into the game engine. The result is a world of exquisite physical detail and tactile fidelity. It's compelling in the same way that movies are when they have practical effects or models instead of CG. Or when they're claymation, I suppose. Materials like wood or cardboard, painted surfaces, carpet or stone, all appear to have a distinctly real feel. And look at the characters. Each one is unique, though maybe not equally detailed or aesthetic. There's no set of standard repeating NPC faces and bodies to be found. The facial animation can be a little dull, but it's a toss-up whether Harold's blank expression is due to modeling or rigging technique, or if that's just kinda who he is. Any other issues aside, and there are issues, Harold Halibut is a meticulously and beautifully rendered game. Tonally, it kind of vibes like a Roald Dahl novel and leans pretty much entirely on the idea that this game can be charming enough to keep you playing.
Where Harold Halibut comes to life is in the dialogue, which is very silly in a delightful and vaguely European way. Pretty much the best thing this game has going for it is that it's frequently quite funny when you drill down into just how goddamn weird all these characters are. Harold Halibut is packed full of slice-of-life moments that can feel cozy and rewarding, but many of the scenes amount to nothing more than side characters shitting on Harold for reasons that feel vague and cruel. And for all the scenes that this game has on offer, you may be surprised with how many of them don't advance the story or aid in character development. Which is to say, this game isn't for people who love plots, It's for people who want to engage in repartee with characters who are charmingly annoying. Well, there is a plot, but you don't get to play it. You see, in Harold Halibut, there are two distinct heralds. There's Player Harold, the herald that the player controls who moves boxes and jogs up and down hallways, and Montage Harold, the herald who has all the fun.
As you get to certain critical points in the game, gameplay stops, and massive amounts of plot and development happen very quickly via montage. Which is kind of insulting because the montages, in addition to being where all the plot payoff is, have opportunities for more fun variations on the very few things you get to do.
While Player Harold is cleaning graffiti seemingly against his will, Montage Harold is scampering joyously down a hallway with his fish friend.
While Player Harold is being taken advantage of by everyone he knows and cares about, Montage Harold is having profound character breakthroughs.
While Player Harold is walking regular style like an asshole, Montage Harold is getting blasted at the bar with Tommy and stumbling around all funny. Like, if I'm going to just be walking, give me more interesting ways to walk instead of letting Montage Harold do all the fancy walking. And also, why does Montage Harold get to solve how to communicate with a fish alien? I want to solve first contact. What the game leaves Player Harold with is running back and forth as you complete errands for all manner of people. If you get instructed to go to the Energy District to talk to somebody, you have to run down the Lab District hallway, get in the tube and select Energy District, and then plod down that hallway to get to the person you were told to talk to. But guess what? They can't help you, and it's kind of weird that you're bothering them. And now you have to go back to the Lab District to tell your boss. So you shuffle down the Energy District hallway, get in the tube, select Science District, run down too many flights of stairs by accident because you forgot where you were going, run back up those stairs, hoof it back down the hallway to let the person who set these events in motion know that this was all a colossal waste of time. This is what a lot of the first half of this game is like.
There's the blue rock. The bane of my day.
At one point we were asked to retrieve a rock, and we had to talk to like 5 different people about it and get fully sidetracked by their bullshit. And then someone stole it, and just, please give me a rock. Please, it's for the plot.
The game throws you a couple bones in the form of minigames, with the soaring highs of unscrewing some metal plates so you can get electrocuted as a prank, and the crushing lows of identifying and processing red minerals while being chastised if you don't start the process precisely when your supervisor says you're allowed.
Harold, what did I tell you about timing? The sample will be useless to us now. You'll have to repeat the first steps.
There are 2 crucial techniques to learn in this game: walking around, or jogging for the advanced players, and the interact button, just the one for the rare occasion that there's something in the world to interact with. To be fair, there's also this dramatic camera zoom button, but you can't do anything else while zoomed in, so it's more of a 1,000-yard stare button. Just staring out at the inky black, wondering if any of this means anything. Wondering, is this even a game? What kind of game is this supposed to be? With its quirky level design and its witty writing, and its fetching and backtracking, Harold Halibut actually bears a striking resemblance to classic point-and-click adventure games like The Secret of Monkey Island, King's Quest, and Putt Putt Joins the Circus. But there's something missing, and it's not just the clicks. Those games were all about interacting with the environment. Click on any nearby object and your hero walks over and makes a quippy observation, or he tells you there's no way he can pick that up, or he can't open a dog, you sicko. The environments of Harold Halibut are so detailed and so interesting, it's not only a huge wasted opportunity for injecting humor, but also for making the world feel more real and alive. The actual options for interaction are just so limited. Also, point-and-click adventures were defined by their puzzles. All the walking and talking in Harold Halibut could so easily be searching for clues or convincing characters to give you items or information. But you don't even pick anything up, not even that blue rock I was told I wanted. Unlike the classic adventures, there's no inventory. It would be very in character for Harold to just sort of pick up junk as he travels around the station, just in case it comes in handy. He's a handyman. Check out that tool belt. Finding and cataloging a bunch of junk would be a great opportunity to allow the player to engage in problem solving. Even traversing the environments would be less of a chore if you could just click on a spot and Harold simply walks there, following some predictable pathing instead of walking into half-open doors. When 2/3 of the game consists of going left or right in hallways, 3-dimensional movement is kind of a distraction. we often failed to thread the needle walking through regular doorways. A focus on plot with almost no decision-making or consequence brings the gameplay perilously close to being a 12-hour-long movie, and if the developers had paced it more like a 6-hour-long movie, perhaps many of the more painful aspects of the gameplay loop could have been avoided.
But despite the slow and repetitive pace, something kind of miraculous happens about 2/3 of the way through the game, where enough of the plot threads are introduced that things really start trucking along in a way that's fun and entertaining. Characters start actually giving you jobs that are progressing towards a goal instead of maliciously wasting your time and energy. When you stop just running errands, you're free to get swept up in a story that has a bit of momentum behind it. Best exemplified by Harold's falling in with a group of child vigilantes who enlist you in a very Wes Anderson-esque caper to blow the lid off a clock conspiracy, leading to the single best gag in the entire game. While I believe that Harold Halibut is poorly paced, I honestly feel like the final third of it was good enough to merit slogging through the first 2/3. It's sort of like that meme of a drawing of a horse where the various sections are of vastly different quality. You know the one. I wouldn't say it's good writing to have all of the character growth come from one big burst of expository dialogue at the end of the game, but I would say it's good writing when a game's final sequence leaves an unshakable feeling in your chest days later. Harold Halibut is a game that demands your curiosity even if it hasn't fully earned it. The magic of the game is in the simple and silly day-to-day interactions with your varied neighbors on the ship, who slowly but surely reveal that Harold's true skill is his unending patience for the strange and difficult and sometimes abusive people that he counts among his friends. To just blast through the plot is to miss all the moments and hidden lives that exist along the edges. If this feels like a game that will appeal to you, we believe you'll be best served taking your time and getting flushed down the tube network and into the lives of your neighbors to just check in with folks, lest you miss special moments like a jog with Buddy the Mailman, a chance to take up a new sport, or the gentle implication that this guy f***ed a fish. It's time to answer the question, would we play this game if we were not destined to do so? For Harold Halibut, we are in agreement that the answer is yes, but.
The core issue with Harold Halibut is that it requires you to undertake a good number of tasks that are, by design, a waste of Harold's time. Thematically, that would be fine if you're using this as a foundation to make some kind of necessary statement that propels the story, but if you can't do that, you're kinda just wasting the player's time along with Harold's.
However, this is a really good-looking and artfully crafted game. The characters are fun if a little dickish, the game itself is frequently funny, and if you stick with it, the final 4 hours of Harold Halibut are truly entertaining and will leave you pondering what life could have been like if the rest of the game was this good. That does it for this episode. It's good to be back after a much-needed break. Look forward to a random new release review every month, as well as the regular random reviews and patron request reviews that you know and hopefully love. Until next time, be the montage Harold we know you can be, and we'll see you all soon on Random Game Reviews.
Thanks as always to our lovely supporters on Patreon. One aspect of the game we didn't touch on is all the cute drawings Harold makes in his notebook. Here are the ones we want to put on the fridge.